Now we're on to the third installment of the CT-100 restoration. As you can see, I've been quite busy and about 95% done with the recap. I still had to order some caps I may have missed upon the initial order. I'll show why in a minute. Let's do like these little Bumblebee or Black Beauty caps right here, right at the beginning of the power supply. You change those out. Got those values ordered. I didn't have the 600 volt version of this, like a 0.22 600 or anything. Didn't have that guy. Let's see, there was one right here I have set to the side. This actually hooks up right there. Now, these molded paper caps are obviously replacements. They are not original. And these are what the original capacitors would have looked like. As well as this right here, the wax being, you know, very dirty on it. And here's the bag of capacitors I've changed out so far. It's actually quite heavy. So what I've noticed that is going on, this guy may have been a technician or an engineer or something. He got this TV sometime in the 60s. I don't know the story, I'm just guessing by the work that was done to it. And I could tell, like, on the parts where he replaced the capacitors, he did not unsolder the lug or anything and completely remove the old lead. He just kind of cut the old lead in place, put a new one on. And I've been saying this because I used my Hakko desoldering iron, completely removed the solder, and I see the old lead still there. I completely removed that and put it on. That's another reason why it takes a while, because I'm doing it very detailed job on this and making sure on everything. There's some other things I'll get into shortly. Got the Heathkit capacitor checker out. Got this hooked up. I had to turn the lights off. I was overpowering the camera a bit trying to show the magic guide tube on this. But for example, this is a 0.25 microfarad and actually tests good. See, I just adjusted for that, and there you go. And it's actually reading just about 0.25 on the scale I got it on. That's not the case with every one. A lot of them are reading well beyond 20% of their rated value. And also, to know, this is why you have to use a vintage cap checker like this, is testing for leakage. Well, this one actually does test good on for its value. I'm going to do a leakage test on it, so we'll just go ahead, take it to 25 volts. Now notice how the window opened up. I'm going to hit this right here. This is at 25 volts. It's good, okay? 150 volts. Still good, okay? 250 volts, oh, look at that. It's starting to close up. Oh, almost closed. Now it's 350 volts. That cap's leaky. So that would not work in circuit. And if you were to test it with a modern multimeter, it's not going to put 450 volts on it to test for leakage. So yeah, it'll look good value-wise, but it's a bad cap. So I got this huge pile here, and I could go through and test every one of these just because I'll see how that works. But yeah, and oddly, this cap checker I got off eBay for very cheap. Turns out it was already fully restored, not recently, but like sometime in the late 80s, and with modern components, and they're all still good. So. And this thing is very accurate. I love these little magic eye tubes too, they're so cool. Well, I actually decided to sit here and do this. I actually tested every paper cap that was pulled out, and this is the end result. From here over, all those amazingly still test good. Most all of them are the 0.1 microfarad 400 volt ones. All the ones in the middle section here, not these ones, but the two columns here, no leakage, but they all test beyond 20% their rated value. All the ones on the right, which are oddly, except one, are all molded, the newer molded paper caps, and every one of them was leaky. So yeah, that's the end result of that. But so far, this is out of that bag. That's all the caps that have been changed, other than a few here and there, such as other than the few I showed before. You guys may also remember that mystery potentiometer. I said it had the long leads that ran to the back of the cabinet. It was actually mounted to the back of the cabinet when I got it, and it was tied into the green screen. At the time, I just didn't look to see how it was wired. I figured out what happened, took it apart, troubleshot it, and I saw exactly what went wrong. It's a wire round 15 k ohm 2-watt potentiometer. If you can see real close right here, there's some little wire whiskers there, so it's actually completely open. Now the one for the blue screen is actually in behind it, as seen here, where this piece would sit on top of it. So it's a two-gang potentiometer. The problem is trying to find a modern equivalent. Yeah, there are 2-gang potentiometers with the right value and the right wattage and everything, but they're hooked together. You can't adjust them individually. So what I may end up having to do, and luckily this is a serviceman control, it's normally hidden, I may end up having to mount the other one right below it. Do like blue screen where it normally was, put the green one right here, and just hook the wire back up. See, here's the green wire. They actually had it color coded: green for green and blue for blue. Top, and the one up here is for red. I'm connected to the wiper there. So that's what happened there. It was a completely open circuit. So I looked around, didn't have any luck finding that, so I'll just have to make a little bit of a retrofit, but it'll still work functionality wise 100%. The next order I am doing, I had to order both from DigiKey and Mouser this time around for more parts. I'll be replacing these inductors right here. Several of them already just test open, no good. That one's busted right here, as you see, wire just popping off. That's pretty much how it was when I got the set. But I got a list. I got every one of these that need to be replaced, and I'm just going to change because they're very inexpensive. This is up at the high voltage compartment. It too has been mostly recapped. This is obviously a molded paper replacement sometime in the 60s. This is one of the parts I had to order off Mouser because I couldn't find a this is a 6,000 volt DC capacitor, and I could not find one on DigiKey, so I found one on Mouser, and I'll be getting that shortly as well. Top here. Oh, I should back up. This cap right here, it's a 1.6 kV 1.5 nanofarad capacitor. What was in here was two molded papers from the 60s of 3 nanofarads hooked in series, and the SAMS lists it as a 1000 volt capacitor, and the guy had two 600 volts in there. So that was, I don't know what he was thinking there, but this is more than adequate. Some capacitors I did not have in stock when I did the first order would be this guy. There's a couple that shoot up here. You can see an orange drop right there. There's another guy sticking out there, connects to the bottom. Another wax and paper cap I didn't have the value for, but inside the cage, that's what it looks like from this angle. Also got the parts to rebuild this power supply. Probably have to get some fuse holders, so that's how I'm going to do that. But yeah, I got two 1N4007 diodes and two 25 ohm 25 watt wire wound resistors to help out with the compensation for the more efficient silicon diodes to replace the selenium rectifiers. Got the top off the tuner. It's just one thing at a time. I'm going to test, well, the next phase is I'm going to start testing a lot of the transformers and resistors. This vertical convergence transformer I know is a high failure point. I'm hoping this one's still good. As well as testing everything else. Like I said, the resistors, let's go through one by one, test them all and replace the only ones that are bad. The mica caps I'm not going to bother with, because every restoration I've seen of this set, they're all still good, and under normal circumstances they shouldn't be bad, so I'm not going to even bother with it unless I power it up and there's a problem. So we're more than probably about 75% done with the chassis at least. And the final step I'm going to do, once all those other components are replaced and the resistors changed or checked out or whatever, and verify all the transformer windings, is I got to go through all the tubes again, make sure they're all good, replace any ones that are marginal or weak, and then we're going to power it up on the workbench without the CRT connected and see what happens. When I get to those videos is when it's going to get more detailed and actually show me doing that as well as making the adjustments and so forth. At this point in time, there's really not much to show in between other than I'm just resoldering, taking out the old caps, soldering the new ones. The day I can't wait to see is when we finally hook it up to the 15GP22 for the very first time. Here's the TV itself. One of the things we got to do is get this safety glass out and clean in there. It's rather nasty, as you can see. Actually, they have the wooden piece that is supposed to be right here that you take out for the service controls. We are going to be refinishing the cabinet. The top's pretty rough, but it's otherwise complete. Getters looking good.